Hello, good friends, and welcome to another episode of the 10,000 Layups Podcast. This is a trade edition, Julian.
Oh, yeah.
The Timberwolves have made a trade today. We're recording this on a Tuesday after work hours, if anybody's curious. Before we get in, we want to thank our good friends at DraftKings. Everyone's favorite time of the year is right around the corner. It's college football season. To celebrate, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new players in the center of the action with $200 in free bets instantly if you bet $1 or more on any college football game. Take advantage of this limited time now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code TBPN to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any college football game. It seems too good to be true. That's promo code TBPN to get your free $200 in free bets instantly for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 years or older. New Jersey, Indiana, and Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. We'll thank our other friends over at 3-Star Sports Cards. They're in Bloomington, Little Canada. Go to their website, 3starsportscards.com. They're all over social. They've been great. We'll get into their segment a little bit later. Now, for the trade of all trades,
Kyle made their big move.
This is what we've been waiting for, Julian.
And that's what, and Wolves Twitter is very excited. And I went on Twitter expecting to find a bunch of my peers also thinking that this was kind of stupid, and everyone loves it. So I guess I'm going crazy.
It's, so the trade is the Wolves traded Jarrett Culver and Juancho Hernan-Gomez for Patrick Beverley, who was part of the Grizzlies. So, like in a vacuum, you look, Jarrett Culver gets a fresh start with a new team. Juancho Hernan-Gomez, I think, was pretty disgruntled here, even though it was just a year after signing a 3-year, $20 million deal. And then Beverley comes in. He's 33 years old. He's due $14.3 million this year. So if you're thinking about it that way, you think maybe the Wolves have a trade piece because he's an expiring contract, but they also had that trade piece with Ricky Rubio that they turned into Taurean Prince. So I don't know. Julian, just like your initial thoughts on the move.
My initial thoughts is like, I'm really torn because I've been on Twitter. I've been reading the tweets. I've been responding to some of the tweets. I have done some tweets.
It's all about the tweets.
It's really all about the tweets. My first thought was, I got to see these tweets. My initial reaction was that it was a bad trade, not because you're losing. That's the thing. Are the Wolves better today than they were yesterday? Probably, yes. That's not the bad part of this deal. It just like really kind of threw into relief for me. Like, this is the type of moves that the Wolves are going to be able to make. And this is the type of player that you're going to be able to add. I also don't like Pat Beverley.
Yeah, I don't either.
I thought he was like totally overboard in the playoffs, and I'm struggling to collect my thoughts here on this, but here's the thing. It's not, I understand that we say a lot of the time, like, don't pay for your mistakes twice, like, sure, the Culver pick was a bust.
Yep.
Don't like invest in him too much. Like, if you realize it's a bust, cut your losses, move on, don't pay him. Like, So in that sense, I think this approach is good. Yes, move Culver, move Hernan-Gomez, who is completely alienated from the team over the course of 4 months.
Yeah.
Culver, it's not going to happen here in Minnesota. And so I appreciate that recognition. Will Pat Beverley make the Wolves marginally better? Yes, I think he can be a good player. Who are the Wolves beating with this team, though? That's my question. Like,
are you eking out 1.2 wins because you got Patrick Beverley? Like, right. And you brought up a good point, Julian, to me. Like, just in text messages, like the last time the Wolves went out and got like a hard-nosed guy, Cat didn't exactly respond well. Yeah, no. I mean, this is the idea that Pat Beverley is going to like turn Cat and Anthony Edwards into like really good defenders is just like it's not how that works. And we just like get ourselves psyched up about this idea of veteran leadership, which is important, but we had Ricky Rubio. He was a good leader last year. It didn't help at all.
So it's kind of like this team does make more sense. I get the idea of moving Culver. I get the idea of moving Hernan Gomez. I think that's important. I don't think Beverley, in terms of what he brings on the court, is the worst fit. Like, he can shoot. He can definitely play defense. He is intense, if you want to call it that. Some might say dirty. I just don't know where this team is going. And I think if you're a Wolves fan and you're seeing Rosas and co that have this attitude of we're like a Pat Beverley, we're a couple of minor acquisitions away from being in contention, you have to kind of ask yourself, like, what's the end game? Like, is the goal to make the play-in game? If that's the goal, then I think, yeah, the Wolves are probably going to accomplish that. Like, this team will probably be better next year. But I just don't see the long-term. Again, like, I feel like with every Wolves move they make, it's like I say, oh, well, if this is, a part of a bigger move, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's not, what are we doing here?
Well, and I think the thing is, I have like 10 different angles on this, because you're right. In a vacuum, the move makes sense. You cut ties with Culver, who is a complete bust, and he was from the beginning. Like, watching Culver at a summer league practice when he started, and I liked Jarrett as a guy.
Yeah,
like
he was super great.
Super nice. Yeah. But in his first summer league practice, you're like, wow, this guy's very overwhelmed. But it'll get better tomorrow. And then it'll get better tomorrow. And then he doesn't play in summer league, but he's still at practices, and you're like, okay, it's still not getting better. It'll get better in preseason, and then it doesn't get better. And then it continues just to not get better, and it gets worse. And Hernan Gomez, whatever. I mean, like, you signed him to a 3 or $20 million deal. You were able to get rid of him. I think that's fine. I mean, you look at Beverley though, and if he was this asset, right? Like, the Grizzlies were a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
Weren't they the 8th seed, or they snuck in?
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, you don't think they want somebody like Patrick Beverley, like, on, like, coming off the bat? I just think of it as like, in the Clippers, and obviously they were able to get like Eric Bledsoe, but like, Eric Bledsoe's been a laughing stock of, like, he hasn't been able to fit on a team at all. And it's like, okay, so the Clippers didn't want him. The Wolves, a team like trying to get into that upper echelon of like, it's hard to say upper echelon. It's like they're trying to get like the 10 seed, right? Like the playing game.
Right.
And I guess if like that's the move that does it, and you're right, because you do get better. So I get that angle from Wolves fans. Like, you don't want to pay for your sins twice. But at the same time, we talk about this with Rosas all the time. And it's almost like there's this like obsession with him among Timberwolves fans that he's just like this genius who knows everything. And they're like, well, would you rather have had him, then they're like, well, at least they traded up to get Culver. They took a chance. And it's like, yeah, but they lost, right? Like, they lost. And then you look again and you go, yeah, they didn't pay for their sins twice because they didn't keep Culver on the roster. But it's like, yeah, but then you just traded, a former number 6 pick 2 years ago.
Right. And
plus another player to get a 33-year-old point guard who other teams that want to win don't want.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess, like, in a weird way, like, yeah, congratulations to you, but it's like, I
I think the Wolves front office desperately wants the Wolves to be competitive and intense. And I think that is what we're seeing, is like their number one goal is that people stop abusing the Wolves on defense, and I am, I'm with that. I agree. It's just, I also want to be sympathetic, because you can't always make the big move.
Yeah.
The big move isn't always there. And so you have to make the small moves. But the idea that this is like, now somebody responded to me on Twitter being like, oh, well, this also allows us to get a big free agent next year. It's like, what free agent is going to come to the Timberwolves? Like, that's the problem. There's this idea that the Wolves can compete like a big market team when you're a small market team like the Wolves are, and they're because the Wolves, even though the Twin Cities is a big sports and media market, the Wolves are the 4th sports team in town, and this is not a big market NBA team. We cannot expect to get free agents. And so, like, when you see them like just pulling in these guys just to like try to be competitive, it's like, it just screams of Rosas trying to keep his job. And I don't begrudge him for trying to keep his job. Like, I'm trying to keep my job.
Yeah.
You're trying to keep your job. But when you're saying that Wolves fans have this idea of Rosas as this mastermind, it's like, I just haven't seen it. I don't think the Wolves are that much better off than when he arrived.
No, I think they're worse. I would argue that like, yep, you turn because you're. I mean, what's the difference between being like the 10th or 11th seed, which is what they're going to be, and you have Cat and Russell and Edwards, than having like Edwards and a bunch of picks and you're 15th? Right. Like, there's no difference. Like,
and I think there's a myth too that's kind of being created right now around Jaden McDaniels, and I want him to be good, but I think that kind of how the Wolves were better towards the end of last year, and how McDaniels has played really well in Summer League. So, I mean, I'll give him that. It seems like he's really improved, and that's awesome for the Wolves. But I think there's this idea now that last year happened because of injuries. And we've said this a lot of times. And, you know, maybe I would like to be wrong about this, I guess. You know, I would like the Wolves to actually just be good and have last year be a blip and be like, oh, actually, this team was good. It was just, you know, we didn't have Malik Beasley. Cat was hurt for long periods of time. And I don't want to like negate that because that's really, really important.
Those are things that happened. Yeah.
But winning 15 games or like having a good 15-game stretch towards the end of last season is just an extremely small sample size compared to all of the rest of the evidence.
And when you think of those wins came at maybe costing you a top 3 pick. Like, and again, if all of these incidents were like isolated, like, oh my gosh, the Wolves they took Culver. Okay, that's a miss. Okay, like the Wolves, it's like all these moves where like we're afraid to judge Rosas on like what, like the D'Angelo Russell move. It's like we can't be critical because we got rid of Wiggins and like, hey, the pick was only the 7th pick. It wasn't a big deal, but it's like, okay, then what has D'Angelo Russell done? Like I get
would you rather have, you know, like just pretend that Rosas hasn't made any of these moves, you know, like would you rather have Dario, Cam Johnson, and Wiggins?
And let's say you still get the number 1 pick and you get Edwards. And that's another thing. Everybody's like, here, let's just read this tweet. Somebody goes, he's made, where did they say? He's more than made up for it by getting Ant, who was the first overall pick and was the consensus number 1 pick. Okay. Balmero, who has not played yet. So like he's already made up for his sins because he's got, and then Jaden McDaniels, who you just talked about, is like a nice player, but like we're not quite sure. But it's like that kind of mindset. And I feel bad saying this, but like it's either Timberwolves fans are like so incredibly positive that it's like to their detriment, or it's like I just don't think half of them actually know what is going on. Like I feel like and I mean that in the nicest way because like Timberwolves Twitter is a great place. But like when I see takes like this, I'm like, have you not been a fan of a team that's like lost every year but 1 year for the last 20-some years? Like I'm confused. Like and I'm a Timberwolves fan too, but like where has this like success been that we've been looking for?
And all of the years and years and years of just relentless negativity from the Timberwolves fans, you know, which you merited. This is what's pulling you out of it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. Like it's really awesome that there are people that are this passionate and this optimistic because they will show up to games and they will cheer, and that is awesome.
That's good.
That will help the team. But I'm really not trying to like burst anyone's bubble here. And I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see it. I just don't know I just don't know what's happening here. I don't see the path. I don't know.
I'm like, yeah. And look, the trade is the trade, and it is what it is.
Yeah, the trade is fine. It's more of what it means.
Yeah, for me, it's like the response and like the like deflection and the like. Well, we got to defend our guy Rosas, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if he's done anything for you. So,
well, I guess we'll see. If the Wolves are like a top 4 seed in the West. Then I guess we'll lead our words. But I just want to look like, you know, I don't want to keep rubbing this point in, but I just want to look at the Western Conference right now. Okay. Are the Wolves going to be better than the Jazz? No. Are the Wolves going to be better than the Suns? No. Are the Wolves going to be better than the Nuggets?
No.
Are they going to be better than the Clippers?
No.
So that's 4 teams. Are they going to be better than the Mavs?
No.
Maybe.
I mean,
Probably not.
Luka.
Yeah, probably not. No. Are they going to be better than the Blazers?
Could be if there's
Maybe,
no Lillard.
depending on what happens with Lillard. But if Lillard's still there, and if we're applying the principle of Wolves are healthy, let's say the Blazers have Nurk and Norm and CJ for the whole year. Yeah, then in that case, no.
Yeah.
Better than the Lakers, I would like to say yes, but given how much I hate the Lakers offseason, but I can't.
Yeah.
Grizzlies, maybe
potentially, yeah.
So maybe better than the Grizzlies. So that would, and then the Warriors, no. So that would put the Wolves at the 9 seed then, and that's if you say they're going to be better than the Spurs, which I think they definitely will be. I think there's an argument to be made that they were going to be better than the Pelicans. I don't know what's going on down in New Orleans. They'll be better than the Kings. They'll be better than the Thunder. They'll be better than the Rockets. So, yeah, I guess mission accomplished.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. And even if the Wolves are like the number 10 or 11th seed next year and they lose the play-in, it's still like, okay, like, I don't know.
There's value in making the play-in.
Yes.
There's value in being a competitive franchise. I just want to know what the next step is. And I want to know that Gerson and team are not just doing this so that they can make the plan and keep their jobs for another year.
Well, and again, and like from a Wolves standpoint and from like a media standpoint, it's like, at what point is like the accountability of, it's like the storyline is like, well, the Wolves they were able to get rid of Culver and get rid of Hernan Gomez. Yeah. Oh my, and they got a backup point guard. It's like, wait, no. I think another way to look at this is they had to get rid of their number 6 picks. He was so bad that he couldn't play. And a year after signing what they thought was their starting power forward to a 3-year, $20 million deal, he was so disgruntled in Minnesota that like literally all they got was a backup point guard that nobody really likes or nobody really wants. It's like, okay, congratulations. All right. Let's get into, actually, do I want to read tweets? No, not really. What are we at? 16 minutes, 17 minutes. Let's get into, the 3-star sports card corner. Well, before that, actually, I think it's, if they do keep Beverley, let's look just like, because I mean, if we're going to talk about the negatives of the deal, I think we have to talk about the positives. And you're right. Beverley is a proven okay shooter.
He will improve their defense.
38% from the 3-point line. He's not like a guy who's creating his own shot, but he's like a guy you stick in the corner and whatever. A good defender, and he gives something the team does not have, and it's an on-ball defender that will hound you. You wonder what it means for somebody like Jordan McLaughlin, who
seems like he's probably not coming back.
Yeah. I mean, like, unless this is part of a bigger move, and then you look at like the 76ers and somebody's like, well, they got Patrick Beverley because the 76ers would want a ball handler. It's like the fucking 76ers don't want Patrick. Like, yeah, they want, they like, it's not like, okay, well, you got Patrick Beverley. Here's Ben Simmons. Like,
they wouldn't do like a CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
For Simmons, they're not going to do a Pat Beverley.
Like, unless you're giving up, like, if you're giving up Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, Patrick Beverley, and like 4 first-round picks, maybe. But I still don't think so. So he is giving you, like, he's a guy that can do stuff. And he adds a strength to what is like Russell's weakness. And like, even, like Rubio coming off the bench and they started together, but like Rubio's a solid defender, but he's not like the Patrick Beverley type defender. So I guess he brings toughness, but again, like
he'll bring something to the team, and again, like, the Wolves are better now. But, this feels like a move you make when you're closer. And I feel like we've said that about every single move the Wolves have made. So I guess let's hope that they're actually closer.
I agree. Let's go to the 3-star sports card corner. I think, like, if you're a collector and like a good, I mean, for anybody, I think when you look at a move, there's going to be some sort of movement on cards for every trade. And with this one, it's a tough one because it's not Patrick Beverley and it's not Juancho Hernan Gomez, because nobody really cares about those guys because they're at the point in their career where we already know who they are. Now, Culver is interesting because he was the number 6 2 years ago. He was a guy that in the Timberwolves defense was like a consensus top 10 guy. So like people thought he was going to be good. He wasn't, obviously, but he's getting maybe a chance in Memphis to get playing time and resurrect his career around younger guys and what seems like probably a better culture. Right now, his Prism base PSA 10 is going for, the last sold price was $16.17, which is probably like $10 less than that person paid to get the card graded. So like, I'm just saying, if you're looking for an opportunity, I guess, and you think Culver might turn things around in Memphis, it's a pretty low risk.
The Jarrett Culver GOAT guy on Twitter should probably buy this card.
Yeah. Julian, let's read some more of these tweets. These tweets are just really funny to me.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Let's keep going. Oh no, this guy actually rips on Rosas, which I appreciate. Exactly. This is a game of risk. No one is Nostradamus, which I don't even know if Nostradamus was Nostradamus, but just like the Spurs turned literally nobodies in the draft to stars and championships. They took chances, just like Rosas did. It's the complete body of work. So,
well, yeah.
I mean
if
sure.
McDaniels turns into Tim Duncan, then full credit to Rosas. We will give Rosas credit when this happens.
The Spurs had David Robinson, and then they intentionally tanked to get Tim Duncan.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes. I want to be clear. If some of these late guys that Rosas, if Bolmaro is like the second coming of, Kevin Durant, then I'll give Rosas credit. I'm not above it. I just don't want to. I feel like we just don't want to give him credit too early.
Some guy goes, yep, Cam Johnson at 11 or Cam Reddish would have been really nice. I agree. This guy goes, I give Rosas credit for knowing when to cut his losses. Lots of GMs stick with their guys way too long.
That is true.
Sure. Yeah, I guess. Also, people are like, way too long. It's been 2 years. So, I mean, it hasn't been that long, but maybe it's better. Someone goes, it's been a miss for 2 years with Culver. Not doubling down on the mistake is a huge win. Plus, it makes the team better. I don't think that not doubling down makes it a huge win. I disagree with that.
Exactly.
Like, you don't win. You just don't lose as much as you
don't lose more.
Yeah. Like
it's like stopping the bleeding. It's
exactly. Like it's walking away from the blackjack table after you've lost 10 grand.
Exactly.
Like, congratulations. You didn't lose 11. Someone else goes, yeah, but it was already a miss. Moving out of the miss into a valuable piece without giving up draft picks is a huge save. Sure. I argue how much valuable that pick is or how that player was. Making mistakes is part of drafting. No one bats 1,000. The fact that Rosas was able to admit his own mistake and flipped failed good players for a veteran role player is a win. Okay. Don't forget that we snagged Noel in the second and signed Nas. Yep. Those things happen.
True.
NBA draft pick. This might be the one I disagree with the most. NBA draft picks outside the top 2 or 3 are so hit and miss every year. It's not really a massive miss to miss on Culver. And that's where I disagree, because you traded up with the intention of taking Darius Garland, who was not there. And then you took Culver, a player that you had not worked out, when players like Brandon White, Brandon Clark, Miles Bridges,
not Miles Bridges. Was Bridges in there, or was it?
No, he was in the class prior.
PJ Tucker, Cam Reddish.
A bunch of guys were like Tyler Harrow, like a bunch of those guys were like available. So the miss is like it's in 3 different parts. It's not that you missed on your pick. It's that you traded up and the guy that you wanted, you misjudged it, and that guy was not there. Then the third part is you took the worst guy over all the guys you probably could have taken. So whatever. I don't mean to be so negative. I just am super surprised with how much positivity is coming out of this move, when it's like, yeah, but sure. Like, can we not reflect on the fact that we lost that pick? And
the question is, and like the bigger, deeper question here is like, do the Wolves need another star if they're going to be seriously competitive? And I understand how you could look at it and say no. You have, especially if you're buying into the Anthony Edwards hype, which I got to say I am. I really like Edwards. I think he's going to be really good. But like, do you think Edwards, D'Lo, and Cat can make a real playoff run as the top 3 players? If you do, this is a good trade. If you do not, I mean, I think we just did the whole podcast about that.
Yeah,
and I really think it's that simple.
Yep, I agree. And like maybe we'll look back and we're recording on Thursday and Patrick Beverley's not on the team and it was part of a bigger move and this is all for now. And like honestly, hopefully. Like I don't know. Because I can't actually imagine that Beverley wants to play in Minnesota.
I also just I will say that like my personal feelings about Pat Beverley are definitely clouding this. Just because I really don't like how he plays. And I thought he played like extremely dirty in the playoffs and tried to hurt a lot of the Suns players. And I just that was uncomfortable to watch. And I don't think that's I don't think that's what the Wolves need. I don't think the Wolves need somebody to come and like try to undercut guys and like punch them. I don't think that. I don't know if
any team needs that.
No, and I just don't think that's how you get tougher. I think that's kind of this toughness. There's mental toughness and being able to like continue to play through tough times, and that Beverley doesn't do that. He loses it, and it's just not. I'm kind of just uncomfortable with that becoming a part of the Wolves' identity. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll wake up in the morning and love the trade, but I doubt it.
I agree. All right, man. I think that's it. You rock.
You too, dude.
Go Pat Beverley, and we'll talk later this week.
Peace.
All right, later, man.